Hello and welcome to Playerunknown's Battlegrounds in 2022. There's 4 players alive. You decide to take pick shots on the nearest skirmish you hear, taking a few seconds in between to gather information on the remaining participants. You finally hit the shot that gives you the confidence to push further away from the ring that ominously closes around you. Since your focus is on positioning and setting yourself up for an endgame that plays in your favor, you accidentally miss that guy who got absolutely slammed by the car, bringing the game to a one-on-one fight for the finish. Excitedly, you take the time to calibrate and hit your shots. None land, and it's time for a close-ranged fight. And unfortunately with that, you've lost advantage. What's the next play? Your mind races, calculating the next move. Woosah. You've taken your time, and you think you might have an idea. Mid-idea, you realize it wasn't great execution, but you'll accept that mistake and change accordingly next time. Time to make a play towards a safer position. You end up behind cover with more health than you anticipated. A few throwables in their direction would surely tip the scales and give you the time you needed for either a full recovery or an aggressive push. Welcome to Service Games, a look into some of the most interesting ongoing video games from the perspective of a gamer who's experienced them on and off throughout the years. PUBG Battlegrounds in 2022, with the exception of a few distractions, is the same game I started playing back in 2017 and stepped away from in 2018.
The same military sim gameplay, the same satisfyingly tight gunplay, and as a player with the willingness to learn in one of the most competitive first-person shooter games out there, the same fundamental idea persists.
Become the last one standing at all costs. In Battlegrounds, you get the chances to learn from your mistakes, like I was able to for the C4 incident. Will I ever use C4 in a similar context?
Man, hell no!
Will I ever pick up explosives in an attempt to better understand that piece of equipment? You bet your ass I will. It's difficult for me to properly articulate the way certain experiences capture me, while also making sure to express how I felt when telling the story as well as I could.
This is recently new to me, as expressing myself used to be a relatively unfamiliar concept.
Compared to gladiator battles in ancient Rome, modernizing that concept into something more rooted in current-day reality is an unmatched experience. Being the last person standing in a massive game world with 100 people, randomized each time, is an experience that can only be emulated by participating in a real-life free-for-all. And this is different from other forms of media though, like movies and books, such as the Japanese film Battle Royale, where the Japanese government are fearful of the country's youth, so 9th graders are forced to an island to kill each other and become the last kids standing. Books such as The Hunger Games, where the Battle Royale games are actually televised and used as entertainment for the masses. The Battle Royale concept isn't exclusive to PUBG, and while it wasn't the original game to implement Battle Royale, PUBG definitely did it the biggest first and sparked ideas for games with a similar concept, but drastically different directions and execution.
There were even direct rip-offs of PUBG, developed in an attempt to cash in on this FPS's monster successes.
To say Playerunknown's Battlegrounds was a commercial success puts it lightly. Peaking at about 3.2 million active players on PC alone in 2018, PUBG brought in hundreds of millions of dollars from PC, console, and a rapidly growing mobile market. The concept for Battlegrounds was initially developed by Greene, aka Playerunknown, who wanted a cool Battle Royale game mode that he could play with his friends that wasn't restricted to only streamers like other games at the time. So Brendan decided to modify his game idea into an existing zombie survival mod called DayZ, of military sim ARMA 2. With the inevitable release of ARMA 3, this gave the Battle Royale game mode a new home on an updated engine, and it was within this game engine Greene's ideas were able to fully develop until he was reached out to by Sony Online Entertainment. Greene was tasked with helping develop the PC survival game H1Z1's Battle Royale game mode. After disagreements with the direction of H1Z1 Battle Royale, Greene decided to work towards creating his own entirely original game. Showing off early alpha development progress and eventually allowing players to participate in private beta tests, PUBG would launch on PC in March of 2017 within Steam's early access beta program at a $30 price point. 10 months later, and with an average 1.5 million players, Battlegrounds was not only a financial success, but it changed the entire status quo of the games industry. Developers wanted to create experiences in their own worlds with their own ideas. Games ranging from kid-friendly build battles to fast-paced arena shooters, it felt like the gaming world all wanted a slice of the Battle Royale pie. In the following months, PUBG would begin to plateau and take its place as the king of competitive multiplayer shooters. Since PUBG had gotten in front of the eyes of millions upon millions of players and developers all drawing inspiration from the concept, Greene felt it were important to keep PUBG unique and relevant in a sea of experiences which were all able to capitalize on and grow from PUBG's successes and downsides. One of those games goes by the name of Fortnite. Fortnite is a survival game turned battle royale, which ended up sweeping the world with its cartoon-like visual style and accessible gameplay with a high skill ceiling to master.
Unfortunately for PUBG, you can't hold ownership over an unoriginal concept. The creators of PUBG wanted their concept of Battle Royale to remain exclusive to their game.
And sometime in 2018, PUBG developers filed a copyright violation lawsuit against Fortnite developer Epic Games. In the lawsuit, PUBG claimed that Fortnite was copying Battlegrounds' idea and claimed Fortnite's Battle Royale mode was completely plagiarizing PUBG. Shortly after this legal threat, the lawsuit was dropped and ended in an overall draw.
PUBG Corp had to deal with actual plagiarizers, mobile games taking direct copy-paste mechanics from the same game engine that PUBG was developed on initially. You can see that damn near every single aspect of the game was copied.
Trying to remain the only Battle Royale type game mixed with PUBG's specific style was becoming more and more difficult to hold on to, while so many games flooded the market after their success. Another issue PUBG faced after their newfound success was providing quality of life changes to the game, and adding fresh content was moving at a snail's pace. This was also amplified by the abysmal release of PUBG in early access on Xbox. As you can see, the game was nowhere near completion, but PUBG Corp felt it were necessary to take the next move forward and launch on consoles to expand their reach and potential player base, only to then deliver poor quality for console owners to experience.
Checking PUBG posts back in 2018, you could see how the fan base was not happy with how slow development was going in comparison to PUBG's financial gain and the new staff that they had hired to help with the game's development.
PUBG needed something to change and move it along in a direction that fans and the original creators felt happy with, and they needed to do it quickly. The fixed PUBG campaign launched on November 16th in 2018, which was targeted at repairing the game's flaws and bugs in gameplay mechanics and features, as well as UI changes, networking, matchmaking, implementing a more efficient anti-cheat solution, and much more. This was an attempt to not only appease longtime fans, but to push their game in a more positive direction so they could diversify, moving towards the future. Through trying to push content for fans out quickly, PUBG's developers unfortunately overlooked a lot of the issues players had been vocal about for months. The coming months and years would consist of regular content drops and updates, from quality of life changes to seasonal patches adding in new maps, equipment, vehicles, cosmetics, and more. Seasonal updates have brought so many new changes to PUBG, but through my experience in returning to the game and doing a deeper dive, it feels that the same PUBG experience I enjoyed from the past has remained present. However, the games surrounding those PUBG experiences have changed drastically, and at times feel opposite of the tone that the original 1.0 release had.
Selecting different outfits and finding different gear was a big key to survivability and giving you a tactical advantage in PUBG's open world. Now,
the amount of bright, out of character, sometimes wacky cosmetics that litter the game give me a big sense of a potential identity crisis, as if the industry was going towards a different direction and PUBG had to do anything to hold on to a part of that audience. So what is Battlegrounds now? Well, it's still a massive tactical shooter.
The core of what made PUBG so special still remains, and actually does it confidently. Since I've returned, a lot of items, maps, and equipment have all been added into the game to give myself, the player, more opportunities for different types of experiences.
New equipment such as the Fulton balloon allows for a mid-game retreat if you end up being surrounded by enemies and need to reposition further into the safe zone. One of my favorite new additions? The foldable mountain bike. Being able to collapse a mountain bike into your backpack for safekeeping is an awesome option to have. The mountain bike brings a nice new way to travel silently without alerting enemy players versus driving a motorcycle, for example, alerting everyone in the nearby area. They've even added a personal AED for reviving yourself when you're playing solo or down away from your squad. Whenever I've attempted to use this, however, it never works out in my favor. Remote controlled drones to observe the area and grab equipment, jammer packs which shield you from the electrical damage of the ring, and even secret keys for secret stashes, such as the Taigo secret room stash. There's also optional modes like Team Deathmatch, where you get to practice the gun mechanics in a much smaller, more controlled environment, as well as practice modes and custom modes for large-scale zombie survival games. The shop is huge now and full of the most ridiculous cosmetics imaginable. I say ridiculous because I mentioned the game's tone, and a lot of the current day cosmetics on PUBG are so much more out of place than in a game such as Apex Legends, which is a team-based battle royale set within a sci-fi universe. You've got different emotes, dances using licensed music, and brightly colored character costumes. None of this feels right in a game that has established itself based off of military simulation. Each PUBG season has introduced a different theme, changes, and so much more, and through my time away from the game, it's been a strange step back into an experience I was once very familiar with that has changed in appearance, features, and tone since my time with it. PUBG is still around and thriving. The audience for PUBG around the world is booming between PC, console, and mobile respectively. Battlegrounds was celebrating their 5th year anniversary at the time this video was produced, and PUBG Corp continued to release roadmaps on their development plans for 2022 onward, teasing new maps, fixes, and more. It has been an eye-opening experience reinstalling Battlegrounds after experiencing so many different kinds of battle royale games throughout the years. The reason why the gameplay of PUBG is so rewarding and addicting still remains. The rest of the game, however, took me by surprise. From seeing a man in a chicken suit pelvic thrusting, to fighting to take down a monstrous-sized chicken for April Fool's Day, PUBG in 2022 is the product of a changing industry, and one game finding its standout identity in a now saturated market of competitive multiplayer shooters.
Man, products, just like the people who expertly craft them, should also be allowed to change. But what they change into, however, that's an entirely different story.
Yo, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Live Service Games. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to check out my last live service game dive into Fortnite in 2022. Thank you to those who allowed me to pick their brain on this idea and to get their perspective on looking at games as a service in the video game industry. Thank you to everybody that currently supports MavAttack Productions on Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon coming soon. Check the link in the description. And I'm excited to jump into the next live service game.